Well, it's the last week of August here in Pennsylvania, and our rainfall this year has just been incredible. And with that, the vegetation has just exploded. The red oaks are loaded, the white oaks are loaded, rock oak, black oak, the cherries are coming down. Everything's dropping early this year. These red oaks that we have right here, I mean, they're everywhere already. And in another month, month and a half, depending upon the rain, they might be good, they might be bad. We're going to have to get real tight to these deer in their bedding areas because they're going to have food everywhere. The apple crop is, again, just like everything else, it's loaded. The apples, the cherries are probably going to be cleaned up by the time we get to our bow season here. But these red oaks and white oaks, particularly here, coming up as their favorite, and it just could be a sliding food scale for them. So you got to key in on that and go find those places and get after them. We're going to help you identify some of these species here. These red oaks have points on them. The acorns are pretty big. The crown's not real deep on the acorn like the rock oaks are, or elongated like the white oaks with the rounded leaves, and we're going to go find some of them and show you. But that's going to be key to your success, especially in the early part of bow season this year. Might even be all the way through the rut. This is one of the things I like to do in August and early September. I'll get into some of these flats with these big white oaks on, some of the hot spots, and use the binoculars to see which trees are really loaded and which trees aren't. Try to separate those groups because this is where these deer are going to be, particularly the bachelor groups of bucks early on. You can see here's some of the call acorns. These are white oaks, pretty small. Main difference between the red oaks that we showed you earlier and these, with the red oak being pointed leaves, all your white oak family, swamp white oaks and stuff, will have rounded lobes on the leaves. They'll stay on the tree a lot longer. This is the preferred food source. As you can see, the bark's real light on these, kind of shingly. Some people confuse them with hickory trees here in Pennsylvania and Northeast, but this is where I want to be come the first couple weeks of October. If they're still on the ground, there's an abundance. This will be preferred over the red oak or the black oak, and then perhaps the pin oaks and the rock oaks later on. Come on, we'll go see if we can find another one. Well, right here's a food source. While not an early season one, it will become a vital, important one towards the end of October. This is a tulip poplar trees. Leaves look like this. We see them, they turn yellow when the leaves start coming down. The sugar content goes way up. A lot of folks don't pay attention to this, and these leaves are just sucked up like little vacuum cleaners by whitetails. They love them when they're on the ground for about a week, week and a half. You find these later in October and you'll find the deer. Let's go find a rock oak. Here's another thing that you need to pay attention to, perhaps not this year because we've had a lot of rain, but there's water down here, there's a pond down here. Whether you're hunting public ground or private ground, the more of these things that you can get together, it helps you figure out the puzzle. There's a bunch of white oaks near a water source. Those are two pluses for those deer early on, that they don't have to go very far to get both. So keep that in mind. The more stars you can put in a particular area, the better your odds are going to be. Let's go find that rock oak. Here's what I'm looking for. Rock oak. One of their least preferred food sources, but come December, January, and everything else has been cleaned up and there's not a whole lot of other options, they'll be on these. You can see the leaves are somewhat serrated but rounded, similar to the white oak, but entirely different, not lobed out or pointed like the red oaks. And the acorns get real neon looking, they're yellowish, but real elongated, and they get big, and the caps are really unique. And the bark is really deep. The older the tree, the deeper the bark gets on them. But again, it's one of their least preferred food sources, but a lot of guys will get this mixed up because these will start to drop usually around the beginning of October, second week of October, after the white oaks and the red oaks are really put down. They'll start to drop, but the deer won't be on them. A lot of people think the bigger the acorn, the better it is. Unless it's a swamp white oak with monster acorns, bypass it and wait till rifle season or late season. But we're gonna see if we can find one more thing here today, and that's a cherry tree. Right here's a wild cherry tree with a big honeybee hive up in it. These trees are loaded and they're dropping so early this year because of the rain. You know, they love them. They're on them right now in the end of August, but it's going to be pretty dry come September, October here. But if you can find a tree that still has them in the beginning of October, you can find a deer and the bucks. There's no doubt about that. We have such an abundance of food this year, the deer are going to really be widespread. So use these tips and do your homework. It's key, big time this year, and kill one. We'll see you.